Hi everyone! I had a few questions about the incense and the materials that I use for the incense that comes in the ritual box. So I just wanted to come in and talk a little bit about the incense. First thing is I realized just recently that I have actually been working with incense for the past 30 years, more or less as a hobby for myself, as a passion. I've always been quite intrigued by incense, and I loved all the stories and the traditions that evolved around incense. So I have been collecting incense from all parts of the world. Whenever I traveled, I picked something up. Whenever I knew that people were going to sacred places, I asked them to bring something back for me. So in the end, I have quite a collection of incense, and I've read a lot of stories, I've read a lot of books, so I just wanted to share some of that knowledge. I have my little cheat sheet here so I don't forget all the ingredients. So my goal and my purpose for this incense was really something that is quite cleansing on the one hand, that is also relaxing, calming, but also has a little bit of a uplifting, heart-opening light component to it. So I'll just go through the ingredients. Some of you are quite famous and they're quite known. Some of them might be a little bit more special that you haven't heard of. So I have firstly collected herbs here from Mallorca, where I live, from the island. So these are things that have grown here and that I have collected here. It's the first one is thyme, herb of grace, and rosemary. And if you know them, also rosemary from cooking, thyme from cooking, they have quite a relaxing component. They have also a very cleansing component. So thyme especially, and rosemary, if you have heard about them before, for example, for tea, you can use thyme if you have a sore throat. Thyme and sage, that makes a beautiful tea for your throat. So it's very cleansing. It also brings out the mucus. So if you had a cold, it's very good. And it's really a good cleanser and a disinfecting cleanser for the environment. So if you had a cold or somebody in your family was sick, it's always a good idea to clean the room afterwards with this antibacterial and make use of the antibacterial properties that these have. Then the next ingredient we have is pine, and actually in this mixture I used pine needles, pine wood, and the pine resin, and all of them have slightly different effects in a smoking or in an incense mixture for smudging. So the needles, they are really very cleansing internally. They also bring in a sense of peace, a sense of inner security, a sense of home. So it's a very homey scent. Then the pine resin for me is a little bit more also cleansing, but it goes more towards calming the nerves. So I love the resin. I really love that as a scent. It's really like very relaxing and gives you this sense of, just the nerves like cooling down, calming down. Okay. Then the pine wood actually has been used for centuries as a part of a sacred ceremony. So whenever it gives this sense of sacredness, and it's been used a lot for that for sacred ceremonies in different traditions actually, and also very cleansing. Okay, then the next ingredient that we have, this is one that I really like and I personally fell in love with. It's copal. It comes originally from a tree in Mexico that the mine used to scratch, and then the resin comes out. So there are 3 different varieties that I used for this mixture. One is black copal, one is white copal, and one is gold copal. So overall, the copal has the effect of, just to go back a moment, the copal was also by the Mexican called the food of the gods. So it was really considered very sacred. And it has this kind of, so the black copal for me also is a very powerful cleanser, and it brings out a little bit of your darkness, or it connects you back to your own darkness, the darkness of being, and kind of a little bit to your shadow side. And it brings out the darkness in everything, also in your environment, in any house that you are. So I wanted to include it in this mixture to really kind of also bring out your limitations, bring out your blockages, and then with all the other ingredients that we have within the incense, just dispelling it. Okay. So the white copal for me then is the other side. It brings in a lot of lightness, a lot of light, and it's really quite heart opening. And then the gold copal as well really affects the heart and helps to open up the heart. And also make peace with these darker sides of our being, which I think is very important. Not to run away from the darkness, but to make peace with it and accept it. So that's a little bit of my philosophy in there as well. Then I put in cedar wood, which also for ancient times has been used, and it's very sacred, and it's been used to really emit and create this space of sacredness. So for me, a home is a sacred space, or it's important for me that within a home you are able to create this sacred space, a space where you really feel safe, where you can truly be yourself. Kind of just a sacred space. So the cedar wood also relaxes a lot and keeps the negative thoughts away. Then we have damar. Damar is also a resin. It's also not that commonly known, and it has a very citrusy and a very fresh scent. I love damar as well. I'm really in love with these resins. I appreciate them a lot. It lightens up the atmosphere really a lot. It brings a little bit of lightness, and it also gives the ability to concentrate on what is truly important. Because I think sometimes our mind goes in 100 directions, and we spend so much time focusing on all these different things, but sometimes we forget to put good thoughts and good energy into what is really important and just let the rest go. So damar helps with that. Then one ingredient that is quite well known is the white sage. White sage is very cleansing, also to the atmosphere. So again, if you had a cold, if you had a fight, if you had a discussion, if you had a negative experience in a space, cleansing with white sage is a really good idea. That's really very powerful and really effective. And that's why a lot of times also when I do smudging for houses, for new houses before you move in, it's always white sage is always on there or in there, because it really helps to clean. And it creates a very peaceful and a very healing atmosphere. The next ingredient is also one that I really like. I could almost say it for all of them, but this also, it's sweetgrass. So sweetgrass for me also brings a lot of lightheartedness, a lot of joy into it. And out of that, lightening the heart and taking away some of the weight from the heart, it helps to let go internally. So that's the really beautiful aspect of the sweetgrass that I really love. And then of course one that's also very famous and has been used in various traditions since ancient times is frankincense. So there are 3 different varieties of frankincense in there. What does that mean? The tree, obviously where you get the resin from, depending on where it grows, what it grows next to, it has a different scent and it has a slightly different quality. It's like sandalwood, where I learned, for example, a sandalwood that grows next to a pine area has a different taste and a different scent than the sandalwood that grows somewhere in a more mountainous area. So similarly, the frankincense, there are different qualities and there are different scents and slightly different aspects of the frankincense. So this contains a Tibetan frankincense, it contains one from Africa, and it contains one from India. So these are the 3. And of course, frankincense has always been used as a cleansing agent. It gives a lot of clarity, and it's always been used to accompany prayers. So whatever prayer you send to the heavens, frankincense, whether that be in a Tibetan temple, a Buddhist temple, or in the Catholic Church, has been used for prayers and for cleansing of the space. Then the next ingredient is a tonka bean, actually a couple of tonka beans, and that also is one that I really love. It smells really nice. It's a black little bean like this. Sometimes it's also used in cooking. They've realized that it actually has a really nice scent and a really nice taste. So sometimes it's actually been used in desserts, a little bit of grated tonka bean over it. And the tonka bean, for me also because it has a very happy energy. It really helps to release stress, release all kinds of anxiety, and it is also revered as a way to look into the future. sometimes it's also called a wish bean. So they also say the tonka bean it's kind of this future orientation that it has. So seeing in the future, but also making a wish for the future. So I really like that. And then another ingredient that I put in there is the osha root. And that's quite a curious item or curious ingredient. It's said to bring a lot of clarity, and it's said to really also loosen up blockages and inner limitations. Sometimes it's also being used as a tea. So as you can see, these ingredients, they're not only, sometimes all the herbs and the wood, sometimes they're not only used for smudging or for incense, they're also used internally for tea. So the osha root is said to have a lot of, have an impact on your digestive system. So it helps to, if you're constipated, it helps to release. So in a smudging, it will help to release inner limitations and blockages. And as a tea, it will help to release the same, but internally on your digestion. So very interesting. Then another ingredient that I put in there is cinnamon flowers. I don't know if you know dried cinnamon flowers. They're little buds like this. And because they don't smell, they don't have the same smell exactly like the cinnamon bark that we use for cooking or for smudging sometimes as well. But it has the same relaxing and very warming component or aspect. And it's also said to be a very protecting ingredient. So it provides this sense of wholeness, this sense of safety, this sense of protection. And then the last ingredient that I put in there is lavender. And it's also wild lavender that has been collected here in Mallorca. And it has a very calming, obviously calming effect, a very relaxing effect as well. And as you know, it's very harmonizing and balancing. So you have a lot of items with lavender. I don't know if you know them. There's like the lavender cushions that should help with sleep. Lavender oil is also used on children, on babies, to kind of calm them down, relax them, kind of this harmonizing, balancing, relaxation-inducing component that it has. Yeah, so it's quite a lot of ingredients that I put in there. Sorry, it's a little longer than I thought it would be, but there's a lot to talk about. And I just wanted to say, I'm really humbled to work with the incense because I really, really love it. I do have some experience, and I'm very happy to share all of my knowledge and my experience. And I always find, for me, it's an intuitive process as well to make the mixtures. It's a little bit like cooking, you try this and you try that, and it's like, okay, how would this work with that one? And what if I add this one to that one? So it's quite an elaborate process, and if it turns out well, and I think this is a really nice mixture, I'm very happy with the outcome, then it just creates a little bit of magic, and each component by itself combined with the other components makes something bigger than each individual component. So that for me is the magic of working with incense, the blessing, and I hope you like what you hear. And if you want to order, the link is underneath this video. So thanks for listening, thanks for sharing and commenting, and wishing you a wonderful evening. Talk to you soon.